What if the reason your Uber takes so long to get to you is because drivers are incentivized by Uber's algorithm to sit parked and just decline? This all comes from the idea for Uber drivers, is it worth it to be a diamond driver or a cherry picker? Hi, my name is Levi Spires. This is the Tip You in the App Daily Drive podcast. Today's Daily Drive podcast is brought to you by the Gig You app. Why does this matter? Number one, when you go into the app and you order a ride, the sooner the ride gets there, the better off you are. You want instant satisfaction. I order a ride shows up. The problem is this: Uber doesn't charge passengers all the same rates. I picked 8 trips from a couple of weeks ago, and they're all roughly a mile, but some passengers paid as much as $17, some paid as little as like $10. I made as much as $7, as little as $4. The prices fluctuate, and nobody knows how Uber prices anything. So why does this matter? Well, drivers, because we don't know how much we're going to make ride to ride, there's no rate card. We're like playing the lottery. Every single ride that comes in, we're like, is that a good one? Is that a bad one? Should I accept it or decline it? Now, over time, you kind of get good at picking rides, and we call that cherry picking. But for the most part, it's still a calculation. We only know how much we're getting paid and the distance and the time. We're having to just do all that math in our head, which, by the way, is why I love Gig You. Check out the Gig You app, and it prices all of these things for you. Back to our program here. Why does it matter? I think this hurts Uber's brand. Uber makes money when passengers are happy with the app. Passengers don't get happy when they see all these drivers on the map and drivers are just sitting around declining. So what did Uber do to solve the problem with drivers sitting parked and cherry picking? They created a program called the Uber Driver Pro program, where if you are a blue driver, like you have a low acceptance rate, you don't get any perks. And then you go to gold, platinum, and the diamond. And if you're a diamond driver, i.e. you have an 85% acceptance rate, you take 8 out of 10 of the rides that Uber gives you, we're going to give you perks. We being Uber. They're going to give you things like a 5% more on every single fare, cheaper gasoline, et cetera, et cetera. One of the other perks would be that when a trip radar comes in, and let's say we give the ride to 5 drivers all at once, the diamond drivers are going to get picked before the blue drivers. I wanted to create an experiment that I can analyze the numbers. And what I did was I have a friend, Zeke. We're both here in the city of Syracuse. He's a Tesla Model Y. We're both 5-star drivers. And we were thinking, what's the best way to do this? And so we went to a diner called Stella in Syracuse on a Thursday morning, and we just did a screen recording of both of our phones at the exact same time, sitting there eating breakfast together, just declining rides. But Zeke is a blue driver. He is a cherry picker. Me, for this experiment, I worked my way all the way up to diamond status, and I was the diamond driver. And we wanted to compare the two. Who got the better offers? What actually happened? Now, you can watch Zeke and my initial reaction. We did the recording of the screen recordings, and then we went out to the car and we said, here's our initial reaction. You can watch that video up here. Both Zeke and I saw the exact same trips. They were priced the exact same, except me as the diamond driver, I got 5% more. Both Zeke and I thought that Uber prices trips based upon the driver. But the reality is, if you're in the same location, the pickup distance and all the exact same, you're going to get priced the exact same rides, except I, as the diamond driver, got 5% more. The second thing was when a trip radar came in and we both got the exact same ride, we both hit accept. Both times, Uber gave me the trip. Uber promises that if you're a diamond, platinum, or gold, we're going to give you priority over the blue. And it kind of goes in that priority. So Uber is paying diamond drivers more per trip, and they are prioritizing the diamond drivers. So I've created a spreadsheet. I spent all weekend putting 404 rides into a spreadsheet, and I analyzed them every which way I could. And in fact, before I give you my numbers, I want to tell you what artificial intelligence said. I went to ChatGPT, Grok, and Gemini, and I said, hey, take a look at these numbers. Do you think it's worth it? Should a driver be a cherry picker or a diamond driver? Here's what they said. If keeping an 85% acceptance rate forces you to take a lot of weak rides or exclusives, I'd rather be a disciplined cherry picker. Be a cherry pick only. This is the best way. Drop to blue, keep your acceptance rate low, and you'll almost certainly come out ahead of actual earnings per hour driven. Purely from an earnings per hour and wear and tear standpoint, cherry picking strategy wins by a large margin. By rejecting bad offers and only taking the top 10 to 15% of rides, you could potentially make about $8 more per hour margin and nearly 45% more per mile compared to someone forcing themselves to take 85% of all exclusive offers. And in fact, last year on Halloween, Zeke and I did an experiment where I was the cherry picker and he was the ant. I made $782 in revenue and he made $560. So the initial reaction is like, wow, Uber is being honest. I was cynical and surprised by that yes, the diamond driver is making a little bit more and they are getting the priority over other drivers. However, AI and our own experiences lead me to believe that being a cherry picker is going to make you more money. The first comparison I did was Zeke as a blue driver and me as the diamond driver. Total trips offered. He got 198 trips offered. I got 206 trips offered. However, dollar per mile, I was offered 3.5% more dollar per mile than he was. And I was offered 4.9% more dollar per hour. He got offered 25 surge trips and I got offered 16. So 9 more surge trips. And the reason why is this. A surge popped up where we were sitting, a $2 surge, and we started getting rides. But he was getting all trip radar and I was getting mostly exclusive trips. The surge went away. I got an exclusive trip and I declined it like I was doing for the experiment. My surge went away, but he kept getting trips offered at trip radar with the surge, which is definitely a perk of being a cherry picker. Because if the surge goes away, but you're sitting on trip radar, you can still decline and wait for the best surge offer to accept as a trip radar. Doesn't mean he's going to get the trip, but he kept the surge a little bit longer. I had 79 exclusive trips. He had 39 exclusive trips. We both got roughly the same amount of comfort trips. I got more priority trips and he had teens turned on, Uber teens. I did not. I don't have that option to even turn Uber teens on or off inside of my app. We don't know. So he got 8 Uber teen orders. Here's where the rubber meets the road. Instead of looking at the revenue, I measured profitability in my spreadsheet. So I would take how much money you're going to earn on the trip minus the miles at a cost of 30 cents per mile. What is the profitability? Then I normalized it by measuring it by per hour. So my margin per hour was $22.99. His margin per hour is $21.69 for all the trips. So if you take a look at all the trips, we average it all out after expenses. I, as a diamond driver, was offered 6% more. If we look at only the exclusive trips, I was offered 3% more. I would have made 3% more. At an 85% acceptance rate, I was offered right around 2% more. However, at a 25% acceptance rate, and this is really important because 25% acceptance rate is still gold and you still get the 5% perk, he actually made more money than me looking at just the exclusive trips. And remember, that's because he was offered 2 more exclusive trips as a surge than I was. So 8% less is what I got. Interesting data. But that's just taking all of our trips and analyzing them as if we had the choice to choose between all of them. That's not really how it goes. I wanted to study them in sequence. So I set the spreadsheet up from 1 to 200 for each one of us as the trips came in, and I wanted to do an experiment. What if I took 100% of the rides? That means the first ride that came in, I accepted it. And let's say it was a 20-minute ride. For 20 minutes, I couldn't take any rides because I was on that trip. Then I would take the next trip at the 20-minute mark, take that trip and go through it for the hour and a half that we were roughly there. Well, so if I had 100% acceptance rate, I would have generated $39 in revenue. My revenue per hour is $30. My margin that I earned, the total cash that I earned was $31. And I had an 80% gross margin. I completed 5 trips at 3.5 or almost 4 trips per hour, 26 miles. The start time was 7:23 and I ended at 8:39 a.m. My active time and online time were equal at 76 minutes. My utilization rate was 100%, and my margin per active hour was $24, and my margin per online hour was $24. So at 100% acceptance rate, didn't cherry pick. The trips as they came in, that's what I took. Now, Zeke, let's say he cherry picks and he takes only trips that were over $2 per mile. So that means a 9% acceptance rate on exclusive trips. His revenue was $27, so a lot less than my $39. His revenue per hour was $26. His margin was $24. His margin percentage was 88%. He had a higher margin, which is better than me. His trips per hour were right around 3. He was active for 45 minutes and online for 64 minutes. That means because he sat there declining some trips. His utilization rate was 70%. His margin per active hour was $32, and his margin per online hour was $23. That, to me, is fascinating. That's the whole crux of the argument right there. If Zeke were a cherry picker taking the $2 or more a mile trip, nothing less, he just declined everything less, he would add a 9% acceptance rate. He would have made $32 an hour active hour, but only $23 an hour per online hour. Do you see the problem there? Technically speaking, if Zeke and I were both going to just do Uber for a day or a week or a month or a year, I would have made more money as a diamond driver by online time. But he would have made more money by active hour, significantly more money by active hour, like $8 more an hour. That's a lot more. That's like a 30% increase in income. Why is that? Well, the problem is when you look at total dollar amount during that time period, in the time period that we just had, I brought home $31 in cash. He only brought home $24. What does that mean? That means a cherry picker is sitting parked, not making money. But when they do work, they make more money. I'm trying to think of another way to say this. It's like, yeah, you took a highly profitable trip, but throughout the given day or a week, the diamond driver is going to bring home more money. And this is if both drivers are utilizing only Uber. And that's the caveat. That's the problem. I don't think that's how cherry pickers actually work. I think really, really good cherry pickers don't just turn on Uber. They cherry pick on Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, Amazon, Flex, Walmart, Spark, Shipt, you name it. They're picking all the apps and taking the best rides as they come in. That's why cherry pickers make more money. However, when you look at just the Uber data, if you just want to be loyal to one app, which I don't recommend, the diamond driver makes more money. This isn't my recommendation. This is just the data as I found it. Let's go through some more data, and then I'll give you a summary at the end here. Here's some other key findings that I found, which are obvious, but I still want to state them. If you had 100% acceptance rate, you would have taken 118 exclusive trips. Your margin per hour would have been $22. As your acceptance rates decline, your margin per active hour increases all the way up to, if you took only one trip, the most profitable trip, you'd had a $52 an hour active hour profitability. The more trips that you take, the higher your acceptance rate, your margin per active hour just declines because you're taking less and less profitable rides. Here's another interesting thing that should be really obvious, but it's important that we look at it. Surge. Surge trips are the biggest factor in your profitability. Your ability to sit parked waiting for a surge to take place is how you make the most amount of money. We had 41 surge trips offered to us, and they were a profitability of $30 an hour, whereas the non-surge trips were a profitability of $21 an hour. So a 42% increase in profitability by just taking a surge trip. And our surge trip, I think our biggest surge was $2. And it's not like we're taking these were not huge $30 surges. So imagine how much more profitable you would be if you took a bigger surge. Now, you and I don't control when the surges take place, but we know when they might happen. A surge on a Thursday morning is probably not going to happen in Syracuse. But if it's a blizzard and it's a Friday night and there's a big college game, surges might take place all over the city. So we have the choice and the option to drive when there are more surges. We can't go out when it's really slow and there's no surges and expect to make any money. There's not a lot of cherries to pick from at that point in time. Trip duration. Basically, the shorter the trip, the more money you made. However, the longer trip, the more money you made. Basically, it starts off the short trips make $30 an hour under 10 minutes. Then it goes down, 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 all the way to like a 30-minute trip is like $17 an hour in profitability. Then it goes all the way back up to trips that are over 60 minutes are $28 an hour in profitability. What does that mean? That means we as drivers should be either taking the shortest trips possible or the longest trips possible. But obviously there's a catch. The shortest trips possible are obvious because they're really short. And if there's a surge, you can stay in that surge. It's great. If you take a medium trip, you might take yourself out of the surge, but you might stay in a zone where there's still more trips. The longer trip though, however, you might go to who knows where and get out of a place where there are any Ubers. There are trips in the city of Syracuse from Syracuse to the middle of nowhere, cow country for an hour. That means you're going to deadhead back for an hour before you're going to get another Uber ride. So only take long trips if they're extremely profitable, i.e. they cover the deadhead time back, and or B, they get you to another place that you want to drive. So for example, here in the city of Syracuse, there are outlying college towns that are fun and good and profitable to go drive in. So if you pick up a ride in Syracuse and you go out to, say, Oswego, that's another college town, you can make good money driving around in Oswego. Multi-stop trips, we had 29 of them. They paid $17 an hour after expenses. Where non-multi-stop trips paid $22 an hour. There's a 21% decrease in your profitability by taking a multi-stop trip. Not to mention, a lot of the multi-stop trips in the morning in the city of Syracuse tend to be like parents taking little kids to school. So you get stuck in school lines and it's really a challenge. Uber, if you want drivers to take those trips, you got to pay us more and make sure that the passengers have car seats. Ride types, obviously. Uber Comfort pays more than Priority. Priority pays more than Uber X. We don't have in the city of Syracuse any Uber Black trips. Neither Zeke or I are XL. So I'm positive those trips pay more and they're more profitable than other trips. But basically, an Uber Comfort, which is what Zeke and I, as it would be our premier trip, pays 19% more than an Uber X. One final thing is pickup duration. Basically, the closer the trip is to you, the more profitable it's going to be. So trips that are under 6 minutes away were 17% more profitable than trips that were more than 15 minutes away. So let me give you what I think is my perfect trip. As a cherry picker, what would I cherry pick for? I would look for a short 10-minute Uber Comfort trip with a surge that's really close by. That's the perfect trip. Doesn't mean it always exists, but that's the most profitable trip. Or like the worst trip would be a long multi-stop that is long pickup and there's no surge attached. Avoid those at all cost. Okay, so that's all the data that I had, and there's more of it. On my website, I'm going to give you access to everything. You can see the entire video of all the screen recordings. You can see all of the data, go through all of my spreadsheets. I guess it comes down to this. Is Diamond worth it? That's the ultimate question. Is it worth it? And let's look at it from a couple of different perspectives. Number one, is it worth it for Uber? Heck yeah. Because the more trips that drivers immediately accept means the less wait time for passengers. And that's a good thing for passengers and for Uber. Is it worth it for drivers? I'm going to say no. It's not worth it to be a Diamond driver, at least not financially. Now, I can tell you it's worth it on a couple of levels. Simplicity, ease. Just turn the app on and taking trips, not being too worried about it. Have you ever noticed that if you go online, Reddit, Facebook, or other groups, There's not a lot of diamond drivers out there complaining about Uber. They're happy-go-lucky. Maybe they're retired, whatever, but it's pretty easy. Now, you're going to make less money than a cherry picker, but a cherry picker tends to be more disgruntled. They're the ones posting, look at this crappy offer that came in. Look at this crappy offer that came in. So in terms of mentality and attitude, it's kind of okay to be a diamond driver, but you have to understand you're going to make less, potentially, for the most part, than a cherry picker. Now, cherry pickers, got to be careful. You can't just measure your active time sitting there in your car parked looking at TikTok all day. That's not how you make money. If you're going to go out and work, multi-app. Get really good at Uber, then get really good at Lyft, then get really good at other apps. Because if you're going to sit there parked, declining, and spending an hour not taking any rides, you made $0 during that hour. Yes, when you did take a trip, you made a lot of money. But for the most part, you're sitting there parked, not earning any money. And we see it at the airport waiting lots, don't we? Drivers. Have you ever gone to the airport waiting lot and seen like 20 guys sitting around in a circle, smoking cigarettes, not doing anything? They're going to say they're cherry picking. They're waiting for the best ride, but they're not making any money. Diamond drivers is good, and you will make more money than cherry pickers if the cherry pickers don't multi-app. Now, there are times like Halloween, it's super easy to be a cherry picker on one app. For me, I can just turn the Uber app on and it was busy all night. But the reason why we did this experiment when it was slow, like the middle of the day or morning on a Thursday in Syracuse, is to kind of demonstrate the lowest of what you're going to earn. And the truth is, even as a diamond driver in the city of Syracuse when it was really slow, profitability is still around $20 an hour. It's not bad. And the diamond driver or the cherry picker has to multi-up. They have a much more complex operation. They're going to make more money, but it's more complex. What am I going to do? I'm going to go for gold. I think my sweet spot is still the 5%, making a little bit more money, but cherry picking a little bit more. I normally take somewhere between 10 to 20% of the rides. Getting to 25% is really not a big deal. Taking one or two more less profitable rides, especially when they're 10 minutes long, whatever, just knock them out. And then get that 25%. I can make the 5% more. And then I can start to get picked more on trip radars, etc. But I'm not going to go for diamond status. Even though diamond status is easier in the city of Syracuse, I only have to be at 70% acceptance rate. But I think I'm going to go for that sweet spot of gold. My cherry picking isn't just how much money I make on the trip. There are great trips that are really profitable that I turn down because passenger rating is really low. It goes to a place I don't want to go. I pick trips not just on how much I can make on the trip, but will I enjoy the trip? It tends to be lower rated passengers tend to be a little bit of a problem. Going from Syracuse out to Baldwinsville, I don't want to go out to Baldwinsville. Baldwinsville is a nice place. I just don't want to go there. So I'm thinking about the places I want to go and the places I want to pick up food from and etc. There's a bigger problem though. It doesn't matter what I do or cherry picking or whatever. It's unknown algorithmic pricing. And today, that's a problem for us as consumers because some passengers are paying way too much and some passengers are paying a lot less. Some drivers are making a lot more. It doesn't seem fair. And the algorithms are using our data against us to price things out. And that seems unethical and immoral and really bad. But that's a short-term problem. In the long run, this is a problem for Uber, specifically Uber now. Because Uber has competition coming in. Waymo, Robotaxi, Zooks, you name it. Lyft is another competitor. And the bigger competitor is going to be other AI agents. See, right now, if I'm a passenger and I go into the Uber app, I got to shop for a ride. In the future, I'm just going to tell my phone, hey, I want to go from here to there. I want to go from here to the airport. My phone, now having algorithmic agents on there, these AI agents, it's going to shop for me. It knows my budget. It knows the preference for the car type that I want, and it can shop all of the available apps instantaneously and deliver that to me. Today, it's not going to happen because there's really just Uber and Lyft. And good luck trying to call a taxi, right? So it's not going to work. But soon, taxi companies are going to create their own apps and their own AI agents to talk to our agents. And then there'll be Waymo and Zooks and other robotaxi competitors in the city of Syracuse, and it'll be nationwide. And my agent will have the ability to shop all of them instantaneously and negotiate the price that I want. So right now, Uber is leveraging its advantage that it has right now, being the big guy on the market, almost the monopoly. But that is fleeting. Wow, there you go. That took a lot of work to put that whole analysis together. And I hope you go to the website and dive through it all. Yeah, I think being a cherry picker makes more money, but being a diamond driver, it's not so bad. You can go out there and make a little bit of money and not be as stressed. Thank you to the sponsors, GigU, Red Tiger, and LaceFit. I really appreciate drivers. If you join Thrive, get access to more behind the scenes. I went through a little bit more of this data in a video just for the members of this channel. Join the Facebook group. If you don't want to pay the $3 a month, that's fine. I understand. Join the Facebook group. It's tip you in the app. It's free. It's a lot of fun. Drivers only though. Drivers for 2026. I want to know, are you going to be a cherry picker or a diamond driver? Where are you going to go? Are you going to do gold? Like me, pick the middle of the road? Let me know where you're going. I want you to be safe, healthy, and happy. I want you to enjoy the ride. I make videos like this because I want you to make as much money as possible, be as informed as possible. But yeah, I want you to know that I am cheering for you. Be well. Take care. Bye.